This is Wayne Philmore here with youtube.com/Dr. Philmore. No, I am not a doctor. I'm here with the real doctor, Dr. Kent Hovind. Say hi, brother Kent.
Hello, good to be with you, brother.
And early in the morning, I woke up at about like 8 o'clock ish. What time is over there? It's 10:33 here.
Yeah, 9:33 here. We're Central Time. This little piece of Florida got cut off years ago.
Oh man, I woke up at I think 8 o'clock here, and I called you first thing I woke up because I know people are always trying to get in contact with you. So I said, let me call you as soon as I wake up, and I requested this interview. So I just wanted to talk about today about just science and scientism, because I know a lot of people, they say they believe in science, but once you talk to them, they hold science as like a miniature god, or like as their own god, where they think the only way to get truth is to test and observe everything, but yet you can't test and observe that. So a couple of questions I have for you, brother Kent, is just have you ever run into these type of folks before, where they just hold science as a god?
All the time. I taught high school science for 15 years. Science means knowledge, from the Greek word seer, or Latin word, I forget. Just to know. What do we know? Evolution is, the problem is this theory of evolution is not part of science. I love science. I taught it for 15 years, earth science, biology, and physical science. And people try to include that stupid religion of evolution as if it is part of science. See, the problem is the Christians quickly admit, they should, that some things about the Bible simply cannot be proven scientifically. Technically, you can't prove a lot of things scientifically. You can't prove the existence of a soul or a spirit or thought. What is thought? You know, we can go on and on about the real definition of science, but science is, what do we know? We know we're here. We don't know for sure that the earth is billions of years old. You cannot possibly prove that scientifically. We don't know that any animal has ever produced a different kind of animal. All we've ever seen in human history is dogs produce dogs. You may get a big dog or a little dog, but it's going to be a dog, and it's going to be limited to that same kind. You might get a bigger dog like a Mastiff, but you'll never get a dog as big as Texas. And you might get a smaller dog, but you'll never get a dog as small as a flea. There are limits. And the Bible says about 20 times in Genesis 1 and Genesis 6 and 7 that the animals bring forth after their kind. It doesn't use the word species, after their kind. So I've done 100 and some debates against atheists who believe that dumb religion of evolution. I take the position the Bible is exactly true, just like it's written. This earth is only about 6,000 years old. God made it in 6 literal days, and that's the only way it works. I mean, plants were made on day 3, and they breathe in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. Animals made on day 5 and 6 breathe in oxygen and give off CO2. How could one possibly live without the other for millions or billions of years, like the evolution theory teaches? So my position is very simple. The evolution theory is not only dumb, it's dangerous. It's anti-science. I love science, but you're right. Some people, they use that word science as if that's their God. I love science. And science is wonderful. I'm not against it at all. I'm very much in favor of it. But quit including that stupid religion of evolution with science. It's not science.
Right. I was talking to a lady yesterday, and I was in a bookstore. Do you have Barnes & Noble down in Florida?
Probably. I've been locked up for 9 years with this stupid structuring law, and I have an ankle bracelet on. I can't leave 150 feet from the back porch for the next 2 weeks, so I'm going to assume we do have a Barnes & Noble. We did have before I left.
You'll get the adventure after you get off your ankle bracelet. But yeah, I was in a bookstore yesterday, and there was a lady who was looking in the philosophy section of the bookstore. So I went up to her, and I said, "Hey, do you believe in an afterlife?" And she said, "No, I'm a science teacher." And in my head, I'm like, what does being a science teacher have to do with not believing in the afterlife? So then I just said, that's cool. I believe in science too. And we started talking for a couple moments. And I said, if evolution is true, where do you get right and wrong from? And she paused for a minute, and she said, I don't really think about stuff like that. And I said, you should, because if we're just animals, I could just murder you.
Exactly correct. That's the problem evolutionists have. And I've asked them all the time. It's a great question. If evolution is true, how do you tell right from wrong? On any topic, how do you tell right from wrong? They can't answer.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And it seems like a lot of questions that you ask them, they kind of like dodge the question. Like they they never really give you a solid answer. They'll give you like one of the most like craziest, stupidest answers, and then they'll move past it as if they didn't say that. Like I know I was talking to one of my neighbors. I told you about him. I have a neighbor who is an atheist, and he actually admitted that he was an atheist. No, he was a theist pretending to be an atheist. There you go, because atheists don't exist. And he said, you know what? I just want to live the way I want to live. But I asked him what to ask him. Oh, so yeah, we were just talking about evolution and everything. Long story short, atheists don't exist, and I need to. I think we should stop calling them atheists, and we should just call them God haters. There are no atheists. There are only God haters.
Right. Yeah, they don't want there to be a God telling them what to do. I did have one atheist answer the question, though, one time. I was up at, I think, University of Guelph in Canada. I don't remember for sure. It might have been Berkeley University. I've been there a couple times. And I asked this student there, senior at the university, I said, how do you tell right from wrong? He said, well, I decide what's right and wrong. He said, I'm the God of my own universe. I said, man, I'm glad to hear about that because I'm going to shoot you in 5 minutes. He said, well, you can't do that. I said, well, sure I can. I'm the God of my own universe, and I decided it's fine for me to shoot you. And so it stumped him like, wow. If evolution is true, this whole theory, and you got to define that word evolution because there are 6 different meanings to the word. There's cosmic evolution, the Big Bang, origin of time, space, matter, which is dumb. It didn't happen. There's chemical evolution. How do you get all these different 92 elements from hydrogen? That's another giant step. They have to leap of faith. They take. There's stellar evolution, where the stars have to evolve from these chemicals. We've never seen a star form. All we see are stars blow up, supernovas or novas. Then you have to somehow get life to evolve from non-living material, called organic evolution. That's never been observed. One atheist said, well, Hovind, if someday if scientists produce life in the laboratory, what would you say then? I said, well, I guess that would prove it takes intelligence to make life, wouldn't it? Which is what I've been saying all along. Then you have macroevolution, which is variations between the kinds. That's never been observed. Dogs produce dogs, cats produce cats. There simply are no exceptions. Now, if you want to believe, capital B, believe, i.e. religion, that dogs and cats have a common ancestor, well, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I don't care. But quit calling it science and quit making me pay to teach that stuff to all the kids in the school.
Yeah.
We'll start a private school and teach evolution to anybody that wants to pay and come learn it. Then you have microevolution. Now that one happens. That's variations within the kinds. Big horses, big dogs, little dogs. Sure, that happens. Every farmer on planet Earth counts on evolution not happening. When he plants his corn, he expects to go pick corn a few months later. When he crossbreeds his cows, he expects to deliver a calf. Okay? And it happens every time. There just are no exceptions. I don't see how people can be so dumb as to believe the general theory of evolution.
There is one type of evolution that I definitely do believe in, and this type of evolution is biblical. It happened in Genesis 6, where the angels, I don't know, people have always broke it down to me where they said, the angels from Genesis 6 came down from heaven and they slept with the woman and they produced giants.
I don't understand that passage. I've never met anybody who does. I think that's a strange one. Genesis 6, the first 5 or 6 verses.
Right.
The sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair.
Right.
So I wish I understood it. There are 5 or 6 basic theories. The most commonly accepted theory is that does indeed mean that some fallen angels came down and cohabitated with the daughters of men and produced some kind of demonic, half human, half demon. That seems to be the best theory, but I hesitate to be dogmatic when the scripture just isn't clear. If that's true, that happened before the flood in the days of Noah, which comes in later in the chapter, in chapter 7. So all those creatures would have drowned. However, Noah and his kids lived through the flood, and they would have probably told their kids and grandkids stories of the neighbor down the street from before the flood. So maybe that's where the legends of Zeus and Thor and all that stuff got started. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe they were Nephilim.
That's right. All we have is the Hebrew word Nephilim, and you can put any theory on that you want, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't be dogmatic. I think you're probably right that it doesn't need. Well, here's my chart. The Bible teaches very clearly that before the flood came, the people lived to be 900 years old.
Right.
This chart's in the back of our seminar notebook, which people can get on creationtoday.org, my son's website. By the way, I just started the YouTube thing yesterday. I'm still learning how to push all the buttons here. But
what's the name of it? I'll put it at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, good. Kent Hovind Official.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyway, but before the flood, the people lived to be 900 according to the Bible, and according to all kinds of traditions where people say there used to be a golden age when man used to live to be 1,000. Just Google golden age. Why would all cultures of the world have this crazy legend of people living to be 1,000 if they didn't really live to be 1,000?
Yeah.
Or close. After the flood, here's the flood in the days of Noah. After the flood, that dropped off. Lifespans dropped off right away to 400 and then 200 and 100, and today hardly anybody makes it to 100. Something was really different, and I cover all that in my seminar, but yeah, as far as the Nephilim, I think you're probably right, but the best theory is that it was fallen angels intermarrying the daughters of men, and I don't understand how that would work. Okay?
Sure. And also speaking about that, Jesus says in the days of Noah that that's how it will be in the last days. And even in the days of Noah, people were extremely smart. I think people were smarter back then than they are today. And I think with that being said, people nowadays are actually literally trying to change their DNA. By 2030, they're talking about people merging their consciousness with machines. And so it's getting so crazy where the lines of right and wrong are getting so blurred where we might take part of our DNA, there you go, and tamper with it, there you go. I don't know if you heard anything about that. They have this machine called CERN. It's like a 17-mile circle underground, and they're shooting dark matter around this circle. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull it up on my screen. There we go. I'm gonna share my screen with you. Can you see it?
Wow. Yes. I don't know about this sharing screen stuff. That's all new to me also, but go ahead.
All right, I got you. There is a 17-mile circle underground that they call, or it's being created by people at CERN. There you go. CERN is the name of the scientists in Switzerland who are making this machine, and they call it a hadron collider, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's between France and Switzerland and costing a bunch of money.
And they're shooting dark matter through this circle, and they're trying to make it accelerate as fast or even faster than the speed of light, or something like that. Or they're taking matter and they're trying to turn it into dark matter, or something like that. It's really crazy. I just want to show a quick video because I did like a 2-minute video on it. And I think my hypothesis is when they do turn the machine on, because they actually haven't powered it on yet. When they did try to power it on, that it was an earthquake in Nepal. I don't know if you heard about that. It was an earthquake in Nepal. One of the executives from Google was there in Nepal, and he died. And then they turned the machine back off. So when they turn this thing on, earthquakes happen and tsunamis happen and weird stuff start happening with the weather. It's really weird.
That sounds like Revelation, the book of Revelation. We'll see.
And I know in Revelations it talks about Apollyon and how this thing called Apollyon is getting released from like the center of the earth, and all this crazy stuff is happening. And I know a lot of people always thought that the stuff in Revelations were symbolic, but what if they weren't symbolic? What if because I know like 2,000 years ago, or even today, if somebody were to take you today or even perfect, you just came out of prison for the last 9.5 years, and some of the technology that we have today is completely mind-blowing to you. So
right.
It would be the same thing with how, say, Jesus showed the Apostle John what the future would look like. He would not be able to describe what an airplane was. All he could do is describe what might look like an airplane to him in his day to what he saw in the future. Because he couldn't exactly tell you, well, it's an airplane, because he didn't know. Like I know in Revelations it talks about how there's sulfur and fire coming down from the sky. I believe when he says that, maybe he might be talking about rockets or missiles. Maybe he saw missiles. Maybe he saw war. You know. Let me see. I'm about to pull up my video now, and this is taking a minute because I had Skype going and this other thing going at the same time. Here we go. But I know I've watched a lot of seminars about your about what you thought about the dinosaurs. Is it possible that people genetically engineered some dinosaurs? Because I do believe that God did make some of the dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs that we do see, like maybe the vicious dinosaurs, is it possible that people genetically engineered those dinosaurs so they can make their own hybrid dinosaurs?
I don't think that happened in the past. Whether people are able to do that in the future, who knows? They're trying all kinds of fancy things, splicing, gene splicing, and stuff like that. So I think that the DNA code that God created is just phenomenally complex. So far beyond anything man's ever made. So I don't know I doubt. So I've heard people argue that dinosaurs were, demonic from before the flood. No, they're just big lizards. Reptiles never stop growing. And before the flood, they lived to be 900. So, if reptiles could live longer, they would get much larger, like 70 feet long. So they're just big lizards. The fact that we find the dinosaur bones at all is an indication of a worldwide flood. Animals die today all over the world, and they don't fossilize. They get dragged all over the woods by the coyotes and eaten by the ants and stuff. So the fossils at all generally prove rapid burial, and especially when the bones are all still together, called articulated. They're still in order. They weren't dragged around by the coyotes, so they drowned and were buried right away. So to me, all that evidence points to the biblical flood.
Right, because if they weren't, the little critters and stuff would have eaten the bones. There wouldn't be anything left.
Exactly right. That's why I say fossils at all indicate rapid burial. And the Bible says in 2 Peter chapter 3 that the scoffers are willingly ignorant of the creation, the flood, and the coming judgment. And I spoke for years on the creation and the flood, and have videos of mine going all over the world in 40-some languages, trying to get people converted. But I really kind of avoided the coming judgment section because I didn't know how it fit. I couldn't put the pieces together, even after being a Christian for 46 years now. It took me about 6 years ago, I finally came to the conclusion that what I had been taught as a Christian about the pre-tribulation rapture, Jesus can come any minute, is just not true.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish it was, but it's not true. So I'm going to be producing a series of videos on what the Bible, what on earth is about to happen. I wrote a book on that topic from prison. Wrote 37 books from prison. My book, which is only available as ebook on Lulu.com. I do have a copy of it here. But what on earth is about to happen teaches my lifetime study on the future.